recruitment for the Washington Semester Program, and we're excited to talk to you about the Washington Semester Program. I have 4 current students with me who are currently participating in the spring 2017 semester, and I will turn it over to them to introduce themselves.
Okay, so my name is Max. I'm from Boston College, and I'm in the Global Economics and Business concentration.
My name is Greg. I do foreign policy, and I study at Tufts University.
My name is Bonet. I go to Whitman College in Washington, and I am doing U.S. foreign policy.
Hi everyone, my name is Rochelle Otis. I am in the American Politics concentration, but my home school is Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia.
Great, and just to show that, we have students from universities all throughout the U.S. and all throughout the world. Also, our students come from all over, so I know they told you what schools they go to, but maybe you could also say where you're from really quickly, Matt.
Yeah, so I'm from France, but I grew up in San Francisco.
I'm from Philly, but I grew up in Ukraine.
I'm from Rwanda, and that's where I grew up.
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
So as you can tell around the table, we have an eclectic group of students with different backgrounds and experiences. So we are going to have time for question and answer throughout the session, so either chat them in. I will do my best to keep my eyes on the chat and on the slides, and open it up to questions, and I'll be asking our students to also participate and share their experiences firsthand, because I know that is what a lot of you have been writing to me, asking me questions about from the student perspective. So just a little bit about, if somebody who has volume can tell us that you can see the slides and the camera, or can you just see the webcam?
Now I can see both.
You can see both? Okay. You can see both of them well?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So this is just a little bit of an agenda of what we're going to talk about, just a little bit about the program, the seminar, the internship beyond the seminar, and then some of the Washington, D.C. specifics, living at American University, living in Washington, D.C. So the Washington Semester Program is actually coming up on 70 years. We'll be celebrating the 70th anniversary this fall, 2017 semester. And we have about 700 students, including our fall, spring, and summer semesters from around the world each year. And as the students around the table have shared, they are from a variety of universities throughout the U.S., and some of them have international backgrounds. And being part of the Washington Semester Program, you're actually also part of a larger alumni network that, again, has been in existence for 70 years. And I'm just realizing that, Corey, I did not have you with your introduction, so please introduce yourself. I apologize.
Not a problem. Yes, my name is Corey Howard. I'm a former student in the program. I did it in fall of 2014. I did the Justice Law Program, and I came from Georgetown College in Georgetown, Kentucky. I am currently a program assistant with the Washington Semester Program, and I assist in recruiting aspects and in student services.
Great. Thanks so much, Corey. I apologize for that.
Not a problem.
So the internship, I'll talk a little bit about the structure of the program, and I know that the hallmark of this program is the internship and building your resume and getting that internship experience. So I will turn to our students to maybe talk a little bit about, we do provide you with a lot of resources for the internship search before you get here, but I think it might be interesting to go around the table and hear from the students about how they got their internship, what they were looking for, and then also to open it up to see if there are any questions about the internship search.
Yeah, so I found my internship on the online internship database that's listed there. There's a bunch of different things that were on it, so I just started applying to different internships I thought might be interesting. And I accepted my offer in December, so I came to the program with an internship already lined up.
And did you go to so at the beginning of the fall and spring semester, we also have an internship fair.
Yes.
In addition to the access that you get from the internship web that Max just spoke about, the way that he got his internship. Did you go to the internship fair?
I did go to the internship fair. There were a bunch of interesting employers, except I had already figured out where I was going to intern, so it was more just to practice my elevator pitch rather than actually find a place to work.
Great. And what about you, Greg?
I'm kind of in a similar situation as him. I actually got a internship on the Hill prior to me even knowing I was going to do this program. But then I was advised by my academic dean at Tufts to incorporate the Washington semester program into the internship. And so that's what I did. And yeah, that's been great.
And where's your internship?
In Congress. Yeah.
I had applied for Congress because I interned with Congress last summer. But by the time I got here, they didn't reply yet. So my professor with the program suggested that I apply at the Wilson Center, specifically with the African program. And I did that, and I got in before anyone else could respond. So yeah.
Fantastic.
That's a nice story. Mine is like that. My experience was really different because I was not able to secure an internship prior to coming, so I was so busy with school between finals and the winter break before coming to the program. It was just really, really busy. So I took full advantage of the internship there, and I was actually about to secure another internship with the employer who was at the fair. But then the National Cathedral called me up and said, no, we want to make this internship about you. I was like, well, I'm coming there. So I literally work 7 minutes from campus. I stay on campus, and I love my internship.
Fantastic. Thank you all for sharing about how you found your internship. Do you have any tips for students, those of you who found it before you came or at the internship fair? Any lessons learned? Because I know that that's what students are always interested in. What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's something you're interested in, definitely apply for it because it can't hurt. Worst that can happen is you don't get it. Best that can happen is you get to practice your cover letters and then potentially a phone interview.
Yeah.
That's always a plus. So yeah, if there's something you see, if it's in DC, if this is where you want to be, then definitely apply.
What about you, Vanessa?
Same thing. I would say that apply to everything that catches your eye. You know, I still get emails from like places that I applied at the beginning of the semester, like, oh, Bonet, would you be interested in a summer internship? I'm like, well, you see. So you never know. Like, you never know when opportunities come up.
Michelle?
I just echo all of the same sentiments. There's a requirement that says you must have like 3 interviews. It's a requirement that the program has for you. So I did that. I actually interviewed with 3 different employers, so I was able to get that experience, and it helped. It definitely helped. So definitely apply.
Great. Thanks so much. Any other comments about the internship search? Something that you wish that you did?
I wish that I didn't stress too much about finding an internship, because at the end of the you'll find the internship.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you will.
Anything to add, Max?
Just don't get discouraged and keep going because even if at first sometimes it's a bit slow to get responses, but it all works out. Yeah.
So it's my understanding that there's also an internship course that's tied. So you get 4 credits for the internship. So we're talking a little bit also about the structure of the program. And I know that students are always curious about what kind of assignments might come with it and what that entails. So Rochelle, do you want to talk about that?
We can. So in American politics, we don't have as much work tied to our internship outside of completing a mid-semester internship evaluation. So our professor has asked us to write a midterm evaluation about our internship and then a final internship evaluation. So not too much stress in regards to internship coursework because you're focusing on your internship.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, we had a bit more work than that. We had to turn in our resumes and cover letters to the professor so you kind of see how we were doing. We also had a paper on an informational interview that we had with somebody at the internship. That was a kind of a nice way to force somebody at the internship to sit down and have coffee with us and just talk about their professional career, but also just the company that you're working at. And it just like helps you get to know somebody else at the office. So that was cool. And paper wasn't as fun, but it was fine. And then we had a paper recently on just like a reflection on the semester and kind of thinking about this whole semester as it comes to a close and what we want to take away from it. So
Great. And I know that you have the same professor, so Greg, do you want to
Yeah, so
assignments assignment tied to it?
So I think, and you can add on if I forget something, but the first assignment we have is an introspective paper where a professor wants to know like what are our ambitions, what are our interests, and you know, it's when it comes to the internship, it's less about like what your grade is and more about what you get from it. And so the professors keep that in mind. So it's not like you don't have to stress about getting like a, you know, what your grade's going to be, but you do want to get the most out of your opportunities. So we have that introspective paper. We have to write, I believe, a career memo. So like we meet with someone who is doing something that you're interested in, and you learn from them, and then you write about that. We just finished our final reflection paper on our internship and what we learned from that. And then we have some class, several weeks, I'd say, yeah.
And that being said, with the reflection and everything, what do you know for the next internship search for that?
What do I know from the next intern search?
Or what you want to do in the next internship? Do you think that your experience here has allowed you to know what that next experience would look like?
Absolutely. I feel like now I have a clear vision of what I want to do and what I definitely do not want to do and waste my time on. I know for sure that I want to be working in international policy, whatever that may be, security or economics, you name it. So yeah, I think that, yeah.
And you shook your head too, Max. What do you think you want from your future internship
Yeah.
experience?
I think, you know, this internship was really interesting because it was kind of, I learned a lot about how the private sector works with local and state governments. So that's not something that I want to do later on, but it was interesting since I chose to stay in the U.S. It was to learn about the U.S., and so that was kind of a nice way to do it from different perspectives.
Great. Perfect. So now we're going to open it up to questions about the internship. So you can either just ask them over the phone or you can chat them in. Are there any questions about the internship component of the Washington semester program? Oh, I do see a question here. How early on did you apply for a congressional internship? Is there an ideal timeline for that?
I applied the day after Trump got elected, and that was, what, November? So that's typically, you want to apply several months before. Every office is different, though. If you apply for the Senate, apply at least 2 months before the start of the internship because they get a lot of applications. I applied for the congresswoman that represents my district at Tufts, and so that was a bit more last minute. But definitely, the earlier the better, because that just makes their life easier, and it makes your life easier if it works out.
And I know you also did an internship on the Hill, not through this program,
Yes.
but do you have any advice on timeline?
Timeline-wise, yeah, I think it's the same as you as well. Apply as early as you can and try to find someone who is working on issues and policies that you deeply care about, because it makes it way easier in terms of like the experience that you get and yeah.
That's such a great point. Absolutely. And maybe look and see what committees they serve on, things
Right.
like that. Absolutely. There's another question. Does your internship have to be directly related to your concentration? Okay, take it. Take it away, Rochelle.
I'm interning right now, like I said, at the Washington National Cathedral. My major is political science. So how in the world is there any relation to the church? But I've been able to figure that out. So through my internship, I've been able to gain a host of knowledge on administration, leadership, team building, communication, and I've also just been able to make this internship my own. So being that I'm not a religion major or any other faith major, I've been able to make this internship my own. So it does not have to be related to your concentration. And I'll be honest, when I first started interning at the cathedral, I was like, I'm having too much fun here. Like, there's no way I'm supposed to be interning here. But in actuality, you can actually have fun at your internship. So, yeah.
We just got another question. How do you ensure that your internship will work with your class schedule? Ooh, what a great question. So we haven't gotten to the seminar portion, but I'll take that one, and then someone can chime in. You do your internship 2.5 days a week, and then you do your seminar the other 2.5 days a week, and that is, I believe, the next topic that we are going to go to. Here we go, to the seminar. program that I think students are unsure about, but from what I hear is the most exciting part of the experience. So you're shaking your hand, Rochelle. Do you want to talk about the seminar? Because we had a question about how do you make sure your internship ties in with your seminar, and it's my understanding that you get the days of your internship before you come so that you know that. Do you want to talk about that and then maybe talk about what the seminar is for American politics?
Yes, so American politics is the way to go. Let me tell you why. So not only do we do in-class sessions, we also do off-site sessions. So our sessions can range from the State Department. Last week I went to the State Department. This week actually I'm going to court. We've had speakers to come in. Yeah, so exciting. We've had speakers to come in and speak to us from a lady by the name of Lisa Muscatine. I don't want to mess her last name up, but she used to be Hillary Clinton's old speechwriter. And so she's coming to talk to us about speechwriting and electoral politics. And so we've been able to have a host of different experiences, both in class and out of class. Now, also, let me tell you why American politics is the way to go. I intern on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Wednesday afternoon through Friday, I'm in class. So, but being in class does not mean I'm just in class. I could be out. So like I said, this week, tomorrow I'll do my internship at the beginning of the day, and then tomorrow afternoon, we're going to the Supreme Court. So I've been able to work my internship schedule with my seminar schedule simply because I've just been able to weave it both in. Both my professor and internship coordinator has been really helpful in making sure that happens. So American politics is the way to go, all the way. We are the biggest concentration. Yes, American politics.
Rochelle Otis for office.
American politics.
What are you doing at the Supreme Court?
So it's a tour. So we'll get a talking tour. We've been able to actually meet with a fellow last week. And then this week, when we go tomorrow, we'll also be able to meet with a fellow. So, and a clerk. We've also met with a clerk of the Supreme Court. We've had a host of different experiences.
Yeah.
Great.
I just wanted to build off of that. For the justice and law concentration, just throwing a little hat in there.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to the Supreme Court, we actually got to meet Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. And I know in the past, they've also been able to meet with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and several other Supreme Court justices.
And Antonin Scalia before he passed. Professor Semiatin's class almost went every semester to meet with the American politics professor's class to meet with Supreme Court Justice Scalia before his passing. So we know that American politics is the way to go, but let's talk about some other ways to go. There are a variety of program concentrations. So represented here, we have global economics and business, foreign policy, and American politics. So I'll switch it over to global economics and business. Do you want to talk about your internship days and then your seminar days and maybe some highlights of the seminar and why this semester is different than being on your home campus?
Yeah, so I think seminar and internship was pretty easy to balance just because both my internship supervisor and my professor know about the other part of the week. And so it was super easy to just talk to one or the other and say, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late, or I can't do this, or can't do that. So that was really not an issue. The global economics and business was very interesting, probably better than I would say than the American politics class. Our professor was great, and we spent the first semester kind of talking about monetary policy. So we went to the Fed, we went to the IMF, we went to the World Bank and other large organizations. We went to a talk by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is pretty cool. And just the speakers that we've been able to go see have been really amazing. And so that's made it a lot more interesting. And then the seminar, when we're actually in class, has been also interesting. It's just going over a bunch of relevant material. So.
And why is it different than being on your campus, would you say?
Well, since we are with the same professor and the same class for half the week at least, our class is actually pretty small. I don't know if it's the smallest, but there's only 12, 13 of us. And there's only 3 students that go to American schools, and everybody else is from abroad. So it's been a cool group of students that are from totally different experiences, and it's just been very different because everybody's become much more friends than I would have with other kids in my class back home.
Great. What about you, Greg? Seminar, internship?
give them the number.
Okay.
I was wondering what he was looking at
so
on his phone.
Our professor actually, a couple of days ago, he called it the Spring 2017 semester in numbers, where he reviewed what we did. And this is actually really good for you guys to hear, to understand just like what we do. So we had 76 seminar classes. We've had 34 individual guest briefings, so foreign policy experts that come in to talk with us. We've had 11 lectures, so every week we dedicate typically our Wednesday mornings to lecturing. We've had 22 class discussions, team briefings, where we partner up to present something from the role of the Kurds in Turkey to maritime disputes in South and East China Seas. We also do simulations. We've gone to the Korea Economic Institute where we did a simulation for, do you remember what it was called, the official?
It was about the sea.
It was the six-party talks.
The six-party talks. So North Korea, China, U.S., Japan, South Korea, and Russia. I think those are the six. Yeah, and there's another one, State Department. We've had 73 total speakers. So it's also just really cool for networking, but the amount of knowledge that we had access to was extraordinary. You learn way more from going out and talking and learning from these speakers than you would sitting in a classroom. If you want to
I think that what makes it a difference, at least for me, when I'm at school, at my home school at Whitman, you know, sitting in a class, you only get like a really, really like one-sided narrative about what's going on in the world, especially if you're interested in international politics. But when you're in DC and going to all these think tanks who specializes or are internationally oriented, you get all sets of perspectives and you get the facts and you get to actually think about it. I think the most fun part of it is the simulation and having discussions and actually asking questions to experts. So, yeah.
And you really bond like with your fellow classmates. Foreign policy, there's 19 of us or 20 of us, but the fact is like we're all like super interested in foreign policy, and we represent I think at least 8 countries and like a bunch of different states. So you automatically, it doesn't matter where you're from, you just get along really well right from the beginning.
Yeah, just to kind of put it in perspective for everybody, as of this semester, we have students coming from 24 different states, including the District of Columbia, and we have students coming from 8 different countries, including China, Colombia, Egypt, France, Germany, Japan, Norway, and Tunisia, and of course the U.S. as well.
And not to forget Rwanda.
Rwanda, I apologize.
Exactly, mic drop. Mic drop.
So we have a question here. You visited the Supreme Court, but have students in the program gotten an internship with the Supreme Court? I believe students have received internships with the Supreme Court.
Yes, and it doesn't end here. With this program under your belt, you can become a fellow. You can become a clerk for the Supreme Court. So it just doesn't end here.
Absolutely. So any other questions about the seminar? I want to touch on one topic that you brought up, Annette, which is asking experts questions. It's my understanding that all students are expected to, what I call, suit up and show up and really participate in the discussion. Going around this table, can you each think of a question you've asked to someone and kind of what that experience has done for you? Maybe I hear students talking about confidence and just command of subject matter to be able to ask experts questions and sometimes get answers from them in an off the record way. Does anyone want to tackle it?
Well, I think our professor yesterday actually last week gave us a document with the list of all the speakers that we've gone to, and it said that the whole class has asked over 150 questions to all the speakers this semester. So that just kind of goes to show how much interaction there is with these experts. I don't remember a question in particular, but when we went to the IMF, for example, we spoke with senior economists off the record, but he was still very frank and talking a lot about Trump and the consequences that he was having, as well as just Greece and other European economies as it related to the work of the IMF. Yeah, I mean, I think all of these speakers, especially, I mean, I can't speak for the ones that you guys have seen, but I bet it's the same thing. Our professor knew them very well beforehand most of the time, and they were generally very happy to have us, so they were always super frank and very easy to talk to, so it was a really interesting experience.
One thing that at least makes me really happy is that every time that we leave an institution, the expert or whoever is giving us a lecture always gives out the email to at least he makes himself or herself available to us in case we want to contact them and have further dialogue about the things that we're discussing about. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's also neat because like we've had ambassadors come in for ambassadors. You can tell when they start talking that they're very general and they kind of like they don't know how much you really know. But like we're given like we have readings and we study because we love foreign policy. And then and you kind of ask questions and then the ambassadors they'll get really into it. Like they'll be impressed and then they start talking and then they'll start saying things that off the record stuff, and that's a really interesting part. So it's really neat to like engage in actual like meaningful, constructive conversations with like the top experts in your field.
I always talk about, when I talk to students about this program, I always talk about access. And I always say you can come to Washington, D.C. as a tourist, you can visit the monuments, you can even get a tour of the White House, but can you, will your professor assign you to read a report written by somebody at the World Bank, and then the next day you ask that person who wrote the report questions about the report that they wrote. That's something that you get through this program. We've been doing it for 70 years. As you were saying, all of the professors have terminal degrees, PhDs, or in the field of law, JDs, and are former practitioners in their field. So they have the relationships with these experts and with these contacts whom you get to meet throughout the semester and who really enrich your learning experience. And you get to ask them firsthand.
Yeah, well, another interesting thing that for us this semester, since I'm in the global economics and business track, we had to do a SWOT analysis of a certain private company.
What's a SWOT analysis, just in case people don't know?
It's just analysis of a publicly traded company on like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, just kind of to assess the overall strategic position of the company. And so the class broke up into 3 groups, and we met with pretty high up executive of each company. So I was working on Volkswagen, and we talked with the head of corporate social responsibility of Volkswagen America for over an hour and a half, and asked her questions directly for an hour about the diesel emission scandal as it related to corporate social responsibility. So it tied in a lot of the paper that we were writing with an actual person that's in charge of protecting the brand image of the company. So it was really interesting.
Absolutely. Do you want to comment?
I would. So in the American politics track, more recently, we've been talking about educational policy and analyzing No Child Left Behind, Every Student Succeeds Act. So very outdated legislation, but then also current legislation. So we also attended this organization called the National Council of Latino Rights. And so we got the perspective of minorities when it came to educational reform. And so I was able to then connect with our speaker, and we had coffee like 2 or 3 days after. And then I'm supposed to be going to our book club meeting. So access is a real thing. Being able to have access to experts in the field is just amazing. It really happens.
Fantastic. So we have another question coming in. What is the workload generally like for the seminars? Do you want to start? Throughout the semester. So the workload. Every professor is different, but.
Yeah, honestly, the workload hasn't been the most intense. I think work at school is much more, there's a lot more homework back at Boston College. I think that's in part because half the time we're interning, but also because the professor wants us to have time to do the readings so that when we go see these speakers, we've read the material beforehand and know exactly what kind of questions we want to ask. And also to have the time to explore the DC and kind of just take advantage of all the different aspects of the semester. So there definitely is work, and you definitely have to write your papers and stuff, but I wouldn't say that the papers have kept me from going out or exploring the city most of the time.
So what is your workload? Could you talk a little bit about, per week, how much reading, things like that?
The reading is, I'd say probably between 50 to 100 pages of reading probably. But then in terms of papers, I don't know, beginning of the semester is usually lighter, and then right now, since it's close to the end of the semester, we've had one paper a week for the past 4 weeks. It's just 5 pages spaced, so.
And then final exam.
Yeah, and then final exam.
Did you have a midterm as well?
Yeah, our midterm and final were take-home though, so that was also easier.
You were both in the same concentration foreign policy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, there's work that you need to do. There's a lot of reading. That being said, Professor Calabrese, what he does is he lets you choose when you want to write your, so you have to write 2 essays. They're called reaction papers, where you react to the readings that you're assigned. You're assigned readings every week. So like we'll do Europe, and then we'll have European readings the next week. We'll look into the Middle East, and you'll have readings for the Middle East. And then you also choose when you do a team background briefing, when you make a presentation. So it's, you can actually choose when you, and I don't know about if this is for other concentrations, but for foreign policy, you can choose when you want to do your assignments. And then as for the readings, yeah, it's a lot, but honestly, the weeks I've read them, I'm so much smarter than the weeks I don't do the readings. So
At least he's admitting
that. There were some weekends that like I didn't get as much work as I planned to get done, and but the readings are very much about you know, you get the most out of the work that you put into the seminar. If you want to know everything about foreign policy, the material is there to know everything about foreign policy.
Yeah,
Okay, he's echoing your sentiments.
Read your mind. In American politics course, we don't have as much work. It's just the type of work that we do. So we write a whole lot of memorandums, which are concise, legal, not legal, but reports that have to be like straight and to the point. So these are reports that you'll see on the Hill that you'll have to present to a representative, and they're always targeted to a certain audience. So over the semester, we've had to write 4 different memos. In our last memo, if any of you are taking constitutional law, it's on constitutional law, but that one's optional. Wonderful. So we've been able to have a balance between readings and then also memos, and same too for American politics. Depending upon the week, we get readings attached to that. So Social Security, we get readings attached to that. Education policy, readings attached to that. Electoral politics, readings attached to that. So it just depends upon the topic, but you'll have readings attached to the certain topic we're discussing.
And your workload is manageable?
Certainly. Certainly. He's a our professor, Professor Simiatin, the best professor out there, is a proponent of exploring DC. On the first day, he was like, I want you all to take DC on. Welcome to DC. And we've definitely been able to do that.
And one shout out, well, you can call it a shout out or not, Professor Semiatin, the American politics professor, had Sean Spicer in the spring of 1996. Right. So, for better or for worse.
I don't know if that was a good thing to say.
We have one more question that came in. If we email internship locations and say we're in the Washington semester program, will they know that that means we can only commit to the 2.5 days a week? Do any internship locations push back a little against 2.5 days a week as too little? So we're actually in the process of potentially changing the curriculum to 3 days of internship and 2 days of seminar. That has not been 100% official. But this program's been around for 70 years, and people know this program in Washington, D.C. I don't know if that's your experience going out and about and meeting people in D.C. People know the Washington semester program at American University. So I always joke that half of Capitol Hill either did our program or take our interns. So they know the Washington semester program and the structure, and will want to work with students in the program because of the reputation of the Washington semester program and the history. So are the 3 specialties mentioned? No, they are not the only 3 specialties offered, the program concentration. So there's American politics, foreign policy, global economics and business, international law and organizations, justice and law, journalism and new media, and sustainable development. And in the fall of 2017, we are launching sports media and management and public health. So those are not, and there are other concentrations available. I encourage you to visit our website for more information on that. Oh, fantastic. Someone actually gave the concentration link via the chat. That is very kind, and I appreciate it. And are these offered all semesters in the fall and spring semester? Yes, they are offered in the fall and spring semester. in what places have students from the global economics and business had their internships? Do you want to talk about where some of your students in your class have done an internship that you know of?
Yeah, there's, so my roommate is also in the program. He's at the Cathedral as well. I'm working at National Strategies, which is a management consulting firm. But there's people at the Small Business Administration. And honestly, I don't remember. Oh, I mean, we have 2 Norwegians in the class, and so they both work with Norwegian defense companies that are attached to the embassies here. And then I forget where the others work, to be honest, but yeah, a lot of, they're all seem pretty happy with their internships. So yeah.
Great. We have one more question to that same question. If internship supervisors are pretty flexible and willing to plan around the seminar schedule, and when will we be given our seminar schedule? Does anyone remember that?
Beginning of the semester, your professor will send out the syllabi, and he lays out the seminar schedule and then your internship schedule.
Okay, a few of you mentioned the American politics and global economics professors prioritizing your exploring of DC. Is this true for foreign policy concentration as well? I think, and I can let the students comment as well, the professors also want you to be able to enjoy some part of Washington, DC, and that will lead me into the next question where we get to the next part of the program structure. So someone has asked, I see that the website says participants receive 12 to 17 credits. It's actually 12 to 16. So I have to look into the 17 for their semester in the program. Can you explain? So I'm going to get to the next part. And I see there's more questions coming in, but I'm going to get to the next part of the structure of the program, which is beyond the seminar and the internship. So included as a Washington semester program student, you can either take an elective course or a research project. The elective course is either through the Washington semester program. We have a couple of those that change each semester, and or you can take an on-campus elective. So you would be taking that with American University students, whereas all your seminars and a Washington semester program elective would be with Washington semester program students. Alternatively, you could do a research project. I know that there's one person at this table that was required to do the research project because some partner institutions require students to do the research project as part of their participation in the Washington semester program. So before I get into the research project and elective, I'm just going to back up and go over the credits because I've been asked about the credits. So the seminar is 2 4-credit courses, really. It kind of can be looked at as one large 8-credit course. And then the internship is 4 credits. So that's a total, the fundamental Washington semester program is the seminar and the internship, and that's 12 credits. A student can take, as I said, an elective course that is 3 credits, so that would total 15 credits. Or a student can do the research project, which is another 4 credits for a maximum of 16 credits. So I know you're doing, is anybody doing an elective? Oh, fantastic. You're doing a French class, right? So do you want to talk about, because I know you had to do that, and that's one reason why students do an elective class on American University's main campus to stay current with their coursework on their home pool if they need to take a course. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I am a double major of politics and French. And so coming to DC, I just didn't want to like go back to my home school with like all these politics credits without having any for my French major. And so likely there's usually a couple classes that transfer if you're into languages or arts or literature. Yeah, so it transfers out like pretty easily. And so
and for all the elective courses, we register you for all the courses. You'll work with your advisor here on our end, so you don't have to do any kind of registering. You are a guest for the semester. We don't want you to have to navigate a new university. We do all the course registration. That being said, if you take an American University on-campus elective, you have to make sure that you meet all of the requirements. For example, you had to take a French exam, correct?
Yes.
To prove that you had a certain proficiency in French to be successful in that course. Similarly, you wouldn't take a macroeconomics theory course if you've never had intro to macroeconomics. We require you to, meet those prerequisites. So again, you'll work with the advisor one-on-one for that. And just remember that American University degree-seeking students receive priority registration. So there are sometimes we ask you to have a couple of options for your elective course if you want to take it if you don't get your first choice. So we have another question. What's your, I want to go back to the research project because I know you're doing the research project. Do you want to really quickly touch on what that experience has been like?
Yeah, so research project, I had Professor Maish, and you have to write 35 to 50 page research paper. It has to be primary research, so at least 3 to 5 of your sources have to be interviews. They have to look into archives. I wrote my research paper exploring U.S. foreign policy toward Ukraine since 2004. It took a lot of work to do this paper, but at the same time, because you're in D.C. and if you're doing foreign policy or American politics, it is just so beneficial. I've been able to do interviews with former ambassadors at the Atlantic Council, at Brookings. People in D.C. want to help you. This is just like you have some of the smartest minds in the entire world. So the research project, it was I'm happy it's done because it did take a lot of work, but it was extremely beneficial.
Fantastic. And Rochelle, are you taking either or?
I'm not.
And you're not either, Max.
No.
So you can also do it with 12 credits, ensuring that you get approval from your home campus and things like that. Okay, so we have another question coming in. What's your relationship like with professors, internship sponsors? Would you feel comfortable approaching them for future recommendations? I know I can say with confidence that students have approached professors for recommendations for law school, graduate school, future jobs, things like that. But I'll let the students go around the table and share if they would approach their professor about a recommendation and the relationship with the professor and maybe even the internship supervisor.
Yeah, I definitely would. I think my professor has been great, and because we're with them for the seminar and the class is so small, everybody gets to know each other very well. When we're taking the metro to and from speakers or just like walking around DC as a class, we get time to talk with other classmates, but also with the professor, and so you develop a strong relationship with everybody, and so I would have no problem asking him for a recommendation letter.
Great.
Yeah, it's also important to see it from like the professor's point of view. You're really like his or her like main priority because they're spending 3 days teaching you, and then when they're not teaching you or taking you places, they're like creating your curriculum. So they're investing a lot of time into you, and so like with our professor, we've talked with him about anything and everything, everything from like career paths and advising to recommendations. A no-brainer. That's almost you don't even have to ask. He will write it for you. He's amazing. I can't see how you could not have a good relationship with the professor. They're very engaging, very, very involved. Yeah.
What about your internship supervisors?
It depends on the internship.
Yeah. My internship has been great, and my supervisor totally gets it that it's an internship and that I'm there to learn, and so she's been very helpful. The program makes us do evaluations that our supervisor does of us and that we do of our supervisor. And so my internship supervisor has done her evaluations of me with me. And so we just talked it through together and went through it step by step, which was helpful for the minor things that I could potentially work on. We just talked about it. Communication was really easy. And she told me that if anything, she would always write a letter of recommendation for me. So
great.
With my internship, I do not interact that much with my supervisor because it's kind of structured a different way at the Wilson Center. So you're more assigned to a scholar, and so you work with them on a daily basis. And my relationship with my boss, with my scholar, is much more of like a mentorship-based relationship. And so we kind of like sit down and strategize and like, okay, Burnett, after undergrad, what's next? How do we get from undergrad to grad school to, wherever I want to do in the future? So yeah, I would say it's been very, very beneficial for me.
And the professor as well?
And the professor as well, yes.
Great.
Yes. Without hesitation, yes to both. Both my internship supervisor and my Professor Simiatin. As a cathedral, it's kind of structured a little different for me. I'm really hands-off as it relates to a lot of the work I do. So I have a lot of flexibility at the cathedral, but my supervisors are very understanding. I have not taken a class photo in years, but we take class photos when we go to different places with my my class. So we spend a lot of time together. Last week we had lunch in between sessions that we were going to, so a lot of time with your professor.
Fantastic. So before I get into this, I'm getting a lot of questions that are tangential to the topics that we're discussing now. One student is asking about, during the program, do you interact with people from other concentrations or students from AU, or is it mostly just people from your concentration? So you can talk about your elective course, and you have American University students in there. Do you talk to them? Have you gotten to know them? I hear some students saying, yes, I have great American University student friends, and not really.
Not really, because my schedule is weird, because I have classes all day till midday, and then my internship till the time I get to class, and by the time we're done with class, it's like 8 p.m. and I'm just like ready to go to bed. So I haven't had much time to kind of interact with other AU students.
What about students outside of your concentration?
Come on.
They're all in different concentrations except for Greg.
Yeah.
What about you, Greg?
Honestly, I know like 1 or 2 American students here.
American University.
American University, yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it's pretty international in DC, but I mean, that being said, nothing holds you back. If you want to make friends at American University, you can easily do that. It's just, for me, it's just, it's very easy to be friends with those in my group. And then because of the nature of the program and the weird hours, you tend to hang out also with people of your concentration and other concentrations. But I mean, yeah, you can be friends. I know some people that made friends with the students at Georgetown, so yeah, depends how outgoing you are.
And then that kind of leads into another question that we had about if Washington semester students are able to live on campus. Yes, you do. So you will be living. So we have 2 options. We have the Leonard Hall, which is the main dorm on campus, and then you will be living with other American University students, and you'll be living with students from different concentrations. I highly recommend Leonard, just because I would say within the first week and a half, you will become very close to everybody in the program, and you will become essentially a family. You all like decide on what you all want to do, where you want to go out for the weekend, and things of that nature. When I did the program, we had a movie night almost every week. Yeah.
Great. And who around this table is living in Leonard? What do you think about Leonard Hall? She's having a different experience.
Only because I was staying in the triple, but I'm still on campus. I just moved to another residence on campus. So I said that to say being a student at American University is also great because I've also been able to interact with the different departments. So like housing, it was no problem for me to move. It was great. Yeah.
Okay, and your roommate is in the Washington semester program?
No, so I'm staying in upperclassmen dorm. I'm staying in Centennial Hall, which is a little further past Leonard. Once you get on campus, you'll know where that is. So it's only upperclassmen. So nobody in my program stays in my dorm with me. Just me.
Okay. And you're both in the Berks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You live with a student from the program?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed living in the Berks. My roommate is in my concentration and is also French, so it's been fun to randomly be assigned together.
And then
across the hall from Lynette, which is pretty convenient.
You can speak more French.
Yeah.
We landed that one. No, we did. We really did.
What I like about the Berks is the fact that there's a gym in the basement. So even though you are off campus, you don't have to walk to campus if you want to go work out. If you don't want to work out, that's fine too. You have your own kitchen and your own bathroom, which I really wanted. I didn't want to have to eat on campus unless I chose to. And so having the option to cook for myself was important to me.
Great. Someone asked, going off the question, a previous question, will we be able to participate in on-campus organization like club sports offered to other AU students?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You are a student at American University.
Yes. You are a student at American University. You have access to all the things an American University student has. Who has an AUID? Everyone around this table has an AUID. Sorry, you got, oh yes, that's what we'll get to, the best thing ever that I don't have, but you guys have. So yes, you can, as even Greg was saying, it depends how involved you want to be. You can be involved in AU. AU is a very politically active campus, and since it's in DC, there's often, more often than not, things going on, speakers coming to campus, and last summer I got to hear the Dalai Lama speak, so there are always things happening at American University. What extracurricular activities does AU offer? Students from WSP have the time to participate in them. I will say really quickly at the beginning of, for the sake of time and to get through a couple more things, at the beginning of the semester there is a orientation session, and then all of the heads of the main groups and activities at AU come and share about the resources that you have as an American University student. Has anyone had time or wanted to do anything or had the ability to do anything on campus?
I've been able to participate in a couple of things. Sessions hosted in my dorm, and then also just other events happening on campus, but not be a member.
I think that's, sorry.
No,
what's the most popular thing is like plays or concerts that happen on campus. This is last week. I think there was like an a cappella competition going on. That was pretty cool.
Okay.
Or like some recitals going on. Yeah,
I mean, if you have time to join, an intramural sport or a student club, I'd be really impressed. Not that you won't have the time, but I mean, like, my schedule's so like booked between classes, internships, also like just going out and spending time with like friends. But it's all available for you if you want it.
So I'm going to just comment, there was a question, do you recommend getting a studio apartment if you can, or is it beneficial to have a roommate of WSP? So I always recommend having a Washington semester program or someone in the program as your roommate to come through our housing, because it gives you a sense of community. Also, it can be challenging to find a short-term lease in DC. And then you also, if you kind of go the Craigslist route, you never know what roommate you're going to get. You could have a party animal roommate, and then you're not able to do your readings or get up early for your internship, or go to your seminars. And so the other thing is, if you have a roommate in the Washington semester program and they're partying all night, we can actually intervene, and there's some recourse there for us to support you. And if you have conflict with your roommate, things like that. But the great thing that I will say about the program and the structure of the program, if you love your roommate, that's awesome, but you might have to schedule time to hang out because of the structure of the program. You could very well be like 2 ships passing in the night with your schedule. If you don't like your roommates, the good news is that you probably don't have to see them that frequently, and it can be like 2 ships passing in the night in a positive way.
Yeah, I would also say just that coming to DC for a semester, you don't really want to have to deal with furniture, and the apartments, at least mine, has been super nicely furnished. So that was a big surprise for me. Coming from living on campus at DC, the mattresses still had their tags in them, and it was like a real mattress, not a dorm mattress. And the couches were super comfy. So I would have been a waste of time to try to find an off-campus housing, considering how convenient the perks were.
Yes, and also the other thing is every housing option that we have is double occupancy. DC is an expensive city to live in, and trying to find a studio apartment is really challenging. Also, full disclosure, promoting this program for 5 years, I've had students who say that they're going to stay with a family member and think that it's in Washington, D.C., but it's somewhere in the outskirts of Maryland, and end up a month or 2 months into the semester in the office crying because they won't drop them at the metro anymore, and they're late for their seminars and internships, and they didn't get to hear Ruth Bader Ginsburg speak because they didn't get a ride to the metro to make it to the Supreme Court. So we certainly don't want any student in that situation, and so we offer this housing option and also a sense of community. There are events throughout the semester, and it's just convenient in a safe area in Washington, D.C., and pretty easy to navigate from with the shuttle service and being close to the metro. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, overall, this is a pretty good area. This is a very safe, this is a very much a retirement community. You will see many old people walking through campus and through the neighborhood, walking their dogs, and it's just an overall very friendly and calm area. And then building off the question of are roommates assigned to you? If you do choose to live on campus or in the Berks, yes, they are. However, when you apply for housing, you will fill out a roommate preference sheet, and then you will be matched based on like how you answer the different questions. They'll be asking questions like, what's your sleeping schedule like? Like, what time do you go to bed? What time do you get up in the morning? Do you smoke? Things of that nature. And then they will base your roommate based off how you answer on the form. So you don't need to worry about that.
Great, thank you. There's one more question. Is the semester a typical semester of 15 weeks?
Yeah. We finished when the AU students finished.
I finished earlier than my homeschool.
Oh, okay. So that's about the typical time frame. So in the interest of time, I know we're here at 9, but I'm just going to go really quickly through a couple of details and turn to you guys. Which airport did you fly into?
I drove.
Oh. So there's a driving option that's not here. Reagan? Yeah. The metro's in Reagan, too.
Dulles.
Dulles. How did you get there from Dulles?
Uber.
Uber?
Yeah.
Okay. So here are the airport options. The metro is inside Reagan. There's also going to be for those of you who eventually come to the program, there'll be a pre-arrival session. The other thing that I know someone mentioned is the U-Pass. That's included in the student fees and is the awesomest thing ever.
Yeah.
Awesomest is a word. But it is unlimited Metro Pass for 1 semester and in bus. Yes, thank you. And bus, and it's a cost savings of about $500 to $600 a semester. Yeah, or more, because now you're more likely to do things on the weekends and off hours, right? And everyone around this table is grinning ear to ear with their joy and delight of the Metro U-Pass.
Our professor said that they based the price off of it of a typical AU student, but as a Washington semester student, you go into the city that much more than the other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's really cost effective.
Absolutely. How many times a week do you think you're taking the Metro?
5 times a week at least.
Every day.
Also, you have the freedom to explore DC. You can choose to stop anywhere and go there and not spend $1.
Right.
It's actually really cool.
Nice to hit the little Metro thing.
And not worry about how much.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I missed out on the whole hour. Completely forgot there's an hour time difference. Well, we're recording it, and I'll be sending it out this week. I'm so sorry. You're going to catch the tail end. Another question, does everyone that applies into the program get in, or is it selective, or their requirements? Great question. So every school is different and has a different requirement. The Washington semester program requires a 2.5 GPA and requires that you're in at least the second semester of your sophomore year when you do the program. Other universities, depending on if your school is a partner institution, then they might have their own internal process and their own GPA requirements. The other question is, I think this is from an international student. Did you travel throughout the country and could go to cities like New York, Boston, or any other?
Yeah.
There are some heads shaking.
Yes.
Anyone?
Trip to Virginia for the weekend. Lovely. Came back Sunday. I left Saturday and came back Sunday. Big trip.
The next weekend, the weekend after this one, we're going.
We're doing a class trip to the beach.
Yeah.
Where?
Oh,
Jersey Shore. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, I mean, it's really easy. You have Greyhound, and I mean, you can literally take Greyhound from DC to Boston or an Amtrak. I mean, you can get wherever you want. I know people that have gone to like every city on the East Coast. And it's pretty affordable too.
Philly.
Yeah, Philly for sure. Yeah.
New York?
New York.
Yeah, New York's only a 4. Yeah. It's only a 4-hour bus ride.
Right.
So, yeah.
And even I know there was a group of students who went to Miami as a group over spring break. If you did the spring semester, some people, I know sometimes international students always get excited to latch on to an American over if you do the fall semester to experience Thanksgiving, which is where some international students really excited to be a part of. So find a friend and get invited to a turkey dinner. So just really quickly, you don't have to have a meal plan unless you live in the on-campus dorms. Then you need at least 100 block meal plan, but there are all these different options. Does anybody have Eagle Bucks?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to talk really quickly about Eagle Bucks?
Yeah, so if you have an on-campus meal plan, then I think you get $200 dining dollars and 200 Eagles Bucks. Eagles Bucks, you use Eagle Bucks for off-campus places. So Tenleytown is like the main town near American, and it's like a 5-10 minute shuttle ride, and tons of restaurants there. And then you have dining dollars, which is like money that you can use to spend on campus at a cafe or at Subway, and laundry. Stuff like that.
Right. And the thing about Eagle Bucks is those are refundable. It's kind of like cash. You can use them at the Whole Foods. You can use them in the Tenleytown area. That's what you said. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was reading another question that just came in. Can WSP students also join American University's club activities? I feel like this student came in a little late. Yes, absolutely, you can. I've recorded this session. I'll be sending it out to everyone. But yes, students can absolutely, you have all the access and resources that an American University student has, and you're able to join those. So the last question I'm going to ask of you, we give some suggestions of what to bring, and I know sometimes people ask about clothing and attire, and so I have two gentlemen at the table and two ladies. What would you recommend for clothing? Because that's what students always ask about, and also seminars versus internships and how to dress and things like that. That's a common question I get. What would you say to bring with you?
For me, I think on the syllabus of my class, or maybe on the programs, they said that the seminar, you had to be business casual. I guess this is depending on the professor, but our professor was very relaxed about that, so that was not an issue. I think I had like 2 blazers and a suit, and that was enough, more than enough. My internship was business casual, but a couple times that I went to like fancier events, like I went to a talk by Joe Biden, so I wore my suit there, but otherwise like business casual was definitely enough. And then in class, I just dressed like I do at school.
I agree. I mean, when you work on the Hill, you have to be suit and tie. When it's out of session, you can be a bit more relaxed. But I also think business casual, I don't think we've ever had to be business formal. It's also nice because it is a little bit cold in DC near the winter, and so like having the collared shirt and the suit and then the jacket on top keeps you warm. Wearing a suit now is not as much fun because DC gets pretty humid. But yeah, should be good.
Business casual desk. I'm running into the problem that I don't have any summer clothes because I packed all winter clothes. So you all may be coming in the fall. DC is hot, so you won't have to worry about that until like the latter part when you enter in like November, December. So try to pack a little winter clothes with you. Yeah.
Comfortable, formal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what about shoes? For both men and women, I hear there's a lot of walking, Shoelace Express. Someone said that they wore their prom shoes they hadn't worn their dress shoes since prom and got blisters. So, yes. Any suggestions?
Clarks. They're fancy enough, and I haven't been told to like wear anything else, so it does work.
I agree.
Yeah. Any other?
I would say definitely don't wear running shoes at your internship or to lectures that you're going to, like if you're going to like a think tank, you have to dress formally from bottom to top. Yeah, I mean it's some places are kind of strict with women's attire to wear heels. But in my opinion, if you find like really cute, nice flats, you're good. Like you do not need to go up and above and beyond with heels and all that. No.
Yeah. Get you a good pair of flats.
Yeah.
When I worked on the Hill, I had my heels in my bag and my tennis shoes on my feet as I walked up the hill and just took them off and changed it out. So yeah, definitely a pair of shoes.
Great. We always say, think First Lady, not Lady Gaga, when you're thinking about your dress. Yes. So, someone is asking about how does shipping work? What are the cheapest options? Has anybody shipped anything?
Yes.
Oh, please tell.
Yes. So I've shipped here to me, and then I'm shipping some stuff back home. So there's a UPS on campus, which is wonderful. But I've been able to use my campus box to get stuff sent to me, and then I will be able to use that same box to ship stuff home. But you get assigned a campus box as though you were at your home school. You'll also be able to get a campus box here.
Great. Anyone have any tips for international students? That's all I got. Any tips for international students? That's very big, but
Yeah, that is very big. I don't know. Come here open-minded, you know. Be willing to get challenged the way you think about things and see the world. Yeah, just keep an open mind and have fun. It's a very broad question, so I really do not know how to go about this.
great. Anything
Yeah,
else?
force yourself to speak English a lot. I feel like.
Not French?
You should speak French too, because that's a good language.
With those elections coming up.
Yeah.
Anyway, one more question. Curious about students' average out-of-pocket budgeting outside of tuition, food, laundry, music. Oh, sorry, not music, miscellaneous. Music, yes, please tell us about how much are you spending on music. Anyone? As far as budgeting?
I tried to create one, but it was impossible because I spend so much money on food. Yeah.
Anyone?
I mean, you don't have to eat out. You have the option to eat on campus, but oftentimes, you know, you'll go with your friends, go to the mall, and you know, you want to go eat at a place.
What kind of mall?
The National Mall, not the shopping mall. The mall with the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial. You know,
There's a Giant and the Whole Foods next to campus, pretty close to campus. So depending on how fancy you want to get, you can go to one or the other. But
There's also Trader Joe's if you find it, which is a little.
I don't know. I've been spending like $40 to $50 a week on food. That's been enough.
yeah, it's around,
Because from what I hear from students, sometimes you might be out at your internship, or you might be with your seminar somewhere and you're grabbing something really quickly
Yeah.
some days, and so.
I brought my lunch to my internship to save money, which was helpful.
Anyone else bring their lunch to their internship?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. You bought it? Where do you go? Giant?
No, I just buy every meal. Well, I do eat on campus. I try to eat breakfast on campus and dinner on campus.
And you're required to have a meal plan?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it's just the lunch that I have to buy.
What do you guys think about the dining hall?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't really go a lot. I think that's why I like it, but it's, I don't know.
But they
Dining hall.
accommodate a lot of dietary restrictions. There's religious, there's halal, there's kosher, there's a lot of different the selection.
Yeah, if you want to go bananas, you will go bananas. If you want to have a diet, you will have your diet.
Okay, well, let's get to this last question, and then I'm just going to wrap up here because these students have things to do to wrap up the semester. Is it generally a pretty smooth transition between WSP AU and the homeschool as far as tuition costs, fees, processing credits once the semester is complete? I can't generalize anything. We cannot specify anything about money. That is, you have to go through your homeschool. As far as processing credit, you would be working with your home institution to ensure that the credits transfer for when you go back. And I can't speak specifics. I always recommend that students talk to their homeschool representatives and financial aid offices and things like that, because every partnership is different. Every partnership has a different billing requirement and different financial aid transfer process. So unfortunately, I cannot generalize or ask any student around this table to talk about that. But you can reach out to us via the website, and we can put you in touch with your homeschool representative. If you're not sure who that is, please email us. And as we close up here, we'll certainly open it up to a couple more questions, but somebody said, thank you so much for your time. This was helpful. So thank you all for being here. But as we wrap up here, and I thank the students for staying a little bit over 9 o'clock, there's just so much to cover, right? We had a good discussion here today. Also, I'm just going to put up on my slide, all of which these students will soon be part of. Not Representative Paul Ryan.
Get a picture.
Sorry? When you was here? No, just kidding. But you're part of a larger alumni network, and we're coming up on 70 years. I know one of the things I did want to quickly comment on is the different opportunities that you have for professional development throughout the semester. I know Professor Calabrese had alumni from the program come back. Did you attend that as well?
Our professor did that for our class
Okay.
individually as well.
Oh,
He brought
fantastic.
people from the Global Economics and Business seminar that were in DC. And so we just had an informal conversation for a couple hours, just talking about how they had graduated, so talking about how they were going from college to adult life. That was helpful.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, I was able to secure a summer internship here in DC, much because I have been here for this semester, and so that just gives you flexibility to do in-person interviews, to consistently network. Yeah, and your professor's going to be extremely supportive. You know, like our professor would edit your cover letter, would look at your resume, so they really prepare you for the opportunities that you look for.
Anyone else? So we say that a semester here will change your trajectory of your life and career. As we wrap up, do you all want to start with you, Rochelle, on if you think about that statement that most students share with us, what could you add to that or reflect on that? Maybe next steps, are you more, confident in what you want to do next?
So yes, and it's part of it because of the conversation that we've had. Just that this semester has just been exploratory semester. I've been able to explore, and been able to see what types of jobs are out there, jobs that I want, jobs that I don't want. And it's been an amazing semester to just see what American politics really is, because it's different than learning about it in Georgia in my little classroom. But to actually be here and explore, it's been amazing.
Bennett, this question touches on that. A student's asking, what have you gained from this experience regarding knowledge and personal growth?
I think it's more of like confirmation of that the direction that I'm heading into is the right one. Just because of the networks and the people that I get to meet and kind of like have discussions about this. And I got to meet the former president of Malawi. She's a woman, Joyce Banda, and she's terrific. And so I went to her office. She's literally like next door to my office. And I was like, okay, I kind of want to get into what you did in a couple of years. And so, yeah, and then we had a discussion about it and see what it is to be a woman in politics on the African continent and all this kind of thing. So, yeah, it's been, I would say, yeah, the trajectory kind of crafting behind my whole experience at AU this semester has been blessed.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there's so much like to say, like how I benefited off of this, from research skills to networking to my foreign policy knowledge. I mean, like, if you know what you like and what you want to do, then you can craft this semester to be like right in line with everything you want. If you choose to do research, you can research whatever you want within your seminar, but you get to choose your seminar and you can choose your internship. So you have the ability to line it all up to be focused on exactly what you like. And then when you're in DC, where it's a very international community, but it's also extremely smart and active, you put that all together, and it's a really good semester.
And one thing I'll just say before we get to Max is, I always tell students, try to do this semester as soon as possible in your undergraduate career, because then that will inform you on which courses you'll take when you go back to your home school. A lot of times students have done a lot of their core and then they'll go back and focus on their electives and really be strategic about the courses that they want to take to broaden some of the topic areas they were able to explore during the Washington semester program.
Yeah, I think I came in here not really knowing what I wanted to do, but I was interested in international affairs and business or economics, so that's kind of why I ended up in my concentration. And it was super helpful because, I mean, like I said, we went to IMF and all of these big international organizations that I was potentially interested in interning, but we also went to smaller startups and like impact investment firms and kind of seeing like the private sector and how it interacts and how it affects global economics and business. So it just gave me a more well-rounded picture of what was out there and what I might want to do afterwards.
So on that note, one final go around the room. What's the next step for you? How did this solidify it for you? And what advice would you give to a student who's not sure they want to do this program?
If you're not sure, I need you to do it. Even though you're not sure, take the risk. What's next for me is we're going higher, we're going greater. I've also, too, been able to secure an internship with my current internship. So I have the option to stay here or go back to Atlanta and pick up an internship there. So I've been really able to get comfortable, and not comfortable, but just secure going into my senior year when I return back to my home school in the fall. But it's all because of this experience. So if you're not sure, just do it. Seriously. Yeah.
What's after school?
Oh, that after.
Yeah.
Oh, two after.
After.
You know, Heather, we are right here, right now. We are in the present. We are still deciding what will happen there. But because of this experience, I can make a better informed decision. Oh, but maybe law school. I need law school. Getting involved in public policy. That's what I'm really after. Yeah.
And Vanette?
My advice, if you're not sure, come here and figure that out. Yeah. And then
What's next? And what's next?
oh my God, that is always a terrifying question to answer. But I think what's next is grad school in DC and hopefully a job with the boss that I have right now. So we'll see.
What are the questions?
What's next? What's next? And what would you tell a student that's not sure about, hasn't submitted the application, isn't sure they want to do it? Because I know you came late in the game.
Right, I came really late, like December, so a month before this whole program started. But the fact that you guys are here doing this means that you're interested enough to just do it. It's a lot of fun. You make really good lifelong friends. You get to learn more about yourself, but also like your interests from a foreign policy point of view. Many colleges want you to specify in a certain region, but you might not know what region that is. Here in the foreign policy course, we do every region around the world, so you kind of get to pick and choose what you like. So it's definitely worthwhile. And the experience of being in DC, leaving your campus for a semester, it's refreshing. And then what's next?
The German Marshall Fund.
The German Marshall Fund this summer, which I'm really excited. Because after working on the Hill, I found, I realized that I liked foreign policy a little bit more, so I decided to do foreign policy internship. And then what's next, I really don't know. But yeah, I'm considering grad school. Yeah.
And Max?
Yeah, I would also encourage you guys to apply. I think if you, coming from an American college and staying within the U.S., I wasn't sure if I was only going to be with Americans, but one of the things that's nice about the global economics and business concentration is that it's very international. So even though I'm still in the U.S., there's still a lot of international students. And I mean, the rest of the program has a lot of different backgrounds, and so that makes it really interesting when we're having conversations in class. What's next is internships this summer. That is starting to get worked out. And then next, I guess I'll probably work for a couple of years after graduating and then hopefully get an MBA.
Great. So thank you all around the table for sharing your experience and your advice for these students. And I will, for those of you who caught this on the later end, I will be sending this recording out. And we are always available for questions at the email address washem, WASHSEM @american.edu. So thank you all for joining us and have a great evening.